Hello, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today I am previewing Newcastle's visit to Brighton at the weekend, but I'm going to do it in a little bit of a different way. I'm going to do a this or that type video. So I've got a few questions here and I'm just going to work my way through them, and I'm going to start with this one, which is draw or win. Now, what I mean by that is, I don't mean do I want to draw, do I want to win? I mean, would I be happy with a draw or would I only be happy with a win? And my answer to that question with 4 games of the season left is I really feel like we have to win this game. I know we don't have to win this game. Maybe that's the wrong thing to say. But it would help us massively, not just in terms of getting enough points to qualify for the top 5 in Champions League football, but it would also just mentally help everyone if we could win this game. And the problem is Brighton are a bit of a bogey team for us, and that's where we come a bit unstuck here, and that's where some people probably would look at this fixture and think, I think a point would be a good result here. Personally, because of how tight it is in the race for the top 5, I think if we were to get a point, I would be a little bit disappointed with that, because I think we're capable of beating Brighton and we need to kind of get over this issue we have with them. I know we have beaten them a couple of times in recent history, but we have the head-to-head against Brighton over the last sort of decade is not in our favour. And so I know that that's an issue, but I would really be disappointed if we don't win this game. Okay, next up, Joe Willock or Lewis Miley. Joe Willock got the nod against Ipswich, and it was a weird game, and Joe Willock did okay. I don't think he did amazing, but also the context is he's not played a lot of football and he's had a few sub appearances and that sort of thing. So to expect him to come in and kind of be really dominant and fluid maybe is a bit much of an ask, but I can understand why Eddie Howe selected him against Ipswich, because it was probably a game where Howe thought it's a bit more open, we're more likely to be attacking and scoring goals, and Joe Willock would replace Joe Linton better. Of course, Joe Willock was in for Joe Linton, who's got a knee issue, and it's questionable as to whether we'll even see Joe Linton again this season. The question is, when we go to Brighton, do you play Joe Willock or do you play Miley? Personally, I was actually a bit surprised that Miley didn't get the nod against Ipswich. So for me, I would pick Miley for this game just because of the type of game it's going to be, and I think Miley's just a bit more all-rounder, and I think that's going to help us. A 1-0 boring game or a 4-3 thriller? I mean, if we come out on top, obviously the 4-3 thriller will be quite fun, but again, this stage of the season, if we have a boring game and we win 1-0, I will take that any day of the week between now and the end of the season, because all it is about at the moment is getting results, and that is it. That's as simple as that. I don't care, actually, about performances too much at this point in the season. I just want the points. I just want us to get into the top 5 so that we can start planning for next season. Not a this or that, but an over or under. Willie Isak, 1.5 goals, over or under. I think that Isak's sort of hasn't scored as many goals recently. I know he scored a penalty against Ipswich. His shooting has been a little bit off in the last few games. He's not been in the best form of the season. I'm not worried about that in the slightest. He's a quality player. Quality players always come good in the end, and he's scored 22 goals or something this season now, so we can have no complaints about Isak at all, and I'm not worried about him. Will he score more than 1.5 goals against Brighton? I don't think so. I think he'll get on the score sheet, but I don't think he'll score more than 1. Dan Burn or Lewis Dunk? It's just not even a question, is it? Harvey Barnes or Anthony Gordon? It's an interesting one, this. Barnes hasn't really done anything wrong. Again, the Ipswich game wasn't his best game, but then it was a funny game. We didn't really hit the heights in terms of a performance, even though we won 3-0. It was an odd match, so it's hard to read too much into that. Before that, you can't fault what Harvey Barnes has done, and he does deserve his run in the team, so I would stick with him for this game. Champions League or Europa League? Obviously, we all want the Champions League, but what that question is asking is, am I going to be happy if we qualify for the Europa League based on the season we've had? Some people would argue that they don't care what competition we end up in. We've won a cup. We should be happy with that. But I am not of that opinion. I am of the opinion that we have got ourselves into such a good position. Yes, we've won a trophy, but why not have that and qualify for the Champions League? Because that's what we want to do. That's what we want this club to be doing regularly, is winning trophies and qualifying for the Champions League and having both. It's not an either or situation, and it's right in front of us to do both. And we've got the cup won. We just need to, you know, win another 2, possibly 3 games in order to do it. And if we can win against Brighton, we're going to be another step closer to that top 5 and the Champions League. So for me, it's a bit of a no-brainer. I would be disappointed if we ended up in the Europa League at this point. But I can understand other people have different points of view. So, what do you think to all my choices? Do you agree with them? Do you disagree with them? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you really soon for another video.